comes a time when life, cruel and relentless, will break you. It will shake the very foundation beneath your feet, leaving you stumbling in the ruins of what once was. The dreams you held close, the love you nurtured, the hope that carried you forward. It may all crumble in a moment, leaving you with nothing but the weight of your own sorrow. In those moments, when your spirit is worn and your heart is heavy, you may wonder if you will ever rise again. But hear me when I say, there is a force greater than your pain, a power stronger than your suffering. And if you allow it, it will lift you from the wreckage, rebuild you with hands that know the shape of your soul, and craft you into something stronger than before. There is a silence that follows a breaking, a silence so thick it wraps around your mind, pressing against your ribs, making each breath feel like a betrayal to your pain. It is the kind of silence that makes you question whether you even exist outside of your suffering. You may sit in the middle of your life's ruins, staring at the shattered pieces of what you once believed would last forever, wondering if there is anything left of you at all. The world moves on, people walk past, the sun rises, the night falls, and yet you remain still, stuck in the moment when everything fell apart. Oh, but do you not know? Do you not know that breaking is not the end, that destruction is not the final chapter, that the hands of life that shattered you do not have the power to write your story's ending? It is not the breaking that defines you. It is the rebuilding. It is the rising. It is the moment when you take your brokenness and place it in the hands of something greater, something wiser, something that knows the depth of your sorrow and the strength of your soul. There is no shame in breaking. Do you hear me? There is no shame in falling apart. The world will tell you otherwise. It will whisper that you should be strong, that you should hold yourself together even when the weight of the world is pressing against your chest. It will tell you that tears are weakness, that pain should be swallowed whole, that suffering should be hidden behind a smile. But the world does not know the beauty of rebuilding. The world does not understand that sometimes, in order to become who you were meant to be, you must first be unmade. I have seen people rise from the ashes of their own despair. I have seen them crawl from the depths of sorrow, their hands bloodied, their knees scraped, their hearts cracked open, and still they rise. Not because they had the strength to do it alone, but because they placed their brokenness in the hands of something greater. They surrendered their pain, their burdens, their shattered dreams, and in return, they were given new breath, new vision, new purpose. They were rebuilt, not as they were, but as they were always meant to be. You may not see it now. You may not believe that rebuilding is possible when you are knee-deep in the wreckage. You may think that the damage is too great, that the wounds are too deep, that you are beyond repair. But hear me when I say there is no brokenness too great, no wound too deep, no despair too dark that it cannot be healed. You may think you are standing in your grave, but you are standing in your beginning. This is not where you end. This is where you are remade. But rebuilding is not an easy thing. Oh, no. It is not soft. It is not gentle. It is not the quiet whisper of comfort that lulls you into peace. It is fire. It is the burning away of what no longer serves you. It is the tearing down of walls that you built to keep yourself safe but ended up keeping you trapped. It is the reshaping of your spirit, the molding of your soul, the stripping away of the pieces that were never meant to be part of you in the first place. And it will hurt. Oh, how it will hurt. Because healing is not the absence of pain. It is the transformation of it. It is the reworking of your suffering into strength, the forging of your sorrow into wisdom. It is not forgetting what broke you, but learning how to use it to build something new, something greater, something unshakable. You will not be the same when you rise. And that is the beauty of it. You will not return to who you were before life broke you. You will not slip back into the shape you once held. No, you will be new. You will be stronger, not because you did not break, but because you did. And in that breaking, in that unraveling of everything you once thought you were, you found the truth of who you are meant to be. So do not fear the breaking. Do not fear the moments when life rips away the illusion of control, when it forces you to your knees, when it leaves you bare and exposed to the harsh winds of change. Do not fear it, because it is not your end. It is your beginning. It is your transformation. It is the moment when the hands that created you reach down, gather your broken pieces, and begin the holy work of rebuilding. And when you rise, oh, when you rise, the world will not recognize you. They will not see the same person who fell, the same soul who was crushed beneath the weight of sorrow. No, they will see something different. They will see light where there was once only darkness. They will see power where there was once only pain. They will see someone who has been broken, yes, but who has also been remade. You will carry the marks of your breaking, but they will not be wounds. They will be stories. They will be the evidence of your transformation, the reminders that you were not left in the ruins, that you were not abandoned to the destruction. Every scar will be a testament to the power of rebuilding, to the hands that lifted you from the dust and formed you anew. You will not hide them. You will not be ashamed of them. You will wear them as proof that you were once shattered, but not defeated. Once lost, but never beyond the reach of restoration. There is a fire in you that you do not yet see. It is buried beneath the weight of your sorrow, beneath the lies that whisper that you are unworthy of healing, beneath the fear that tells you that if you try to rise, you will only fall again. But that fire has never gone out. It has been waiting, patient and unwavering, for the moment you choose to stand. And when you do, when you make the choice to place your pain in the hands of something greater, that fire will ignite. It will burn away everything that does not belong to you, everything that has tried to keep you small, everything that has convinced you that you are anything less than extraordinary. But you must be willing to let go. And oh, how difficult that is. Because even pain, even sorrow, even suffering can become familiar, can become comfortable. You have carried it for so long that you may not know who you are without it. You have wrapped yourself in it like a second skin, convinced that it is part of your identity. But hear me, you are not your pain. You are not your sorrow. You are not the broken pieces of your past. You are more than what has happened to you, more than what has tried to destroy you. And if you are brave enough to release it, to hand it over, to surrender it to the rebuilding, you will see that you were never meant to live in the ruins. You will grieve. Oh, you will grieve the pieces of you that are left behind, the parts of your life that will not return, because rebuilding does not mean everything will be restored as it was. Some things will be lost. Some dreams will not return in the same form. Some relationships, some plans, some versions of yourself will be laid to rest. And that is painful. That is a loss that cannot be ignored. But what you gain, what you become, will be greater than what you have lost. What is rebuilt will be stronger than what was broken. But do not rush the process. Do not try to force yourself into wholeness before the time is right. Let yourself heal in the way that healing demands. Let yourself sit in the stillness when it is needed. Let yourself feel the sorrow when it rises. Let yourself be unmade before you are remade. Because true rebuilding is not a quick fix, not a hurried patchwork of old pieces glued together. It is a slow, intentional crafting, a careful shaping of something new. It is patience. It is trust. It is knowing that the hands doing the rebuilding know exactly what they are doing, even when you do not understand the process. And when the time comes, when you finally stand on the other side of your breaking, You will see why the pain was necessary. You will understand why you could not remain as you were. You will look back at the wreckage and realize that what was destroyed was never meant to last, that what was lost was making room for what was to come. And you will not wish to return to what was before, because what you have become is greater than anything you could have imagined. And do you know what happens next? Do you know what happens when you have been rebuilt? You become the proof for someone else. You become the evidence that rising is possible. You become the light that tells another broken soul that they too can be remade. Because this journey is not only for you. Your rebuilding is not just about your own healing. It is about the ones who are still sitting in the ruins, the ones who do not yet believe that they can stand again. They will see you, and in seeing you, they will find hope for themselves. So do not shrink. Do not hide your transformation. Do not pretend that you were never broken. Stand in the fullness of your healing. Stand in the strength of your rebuilding. Stand as living proof that destruction is not the end, that sorrow is not the final word, that breaking is not where the story stops. You are more than what has happened to you. You are more than what tried to break you. You are the work of hands that know how to take ruins and create beauty. You are the evidence that no one is ever too far gone, that no heart is beyond mending, that no life is too shattered to be made whole again. And if you are still in the breaking, if you are still sitting in the silence of your own suffering, if you are still wondering whether you will ever rise, know this: your story is not over. Your rebuilding has already begun. Even now, even as you sit in the midst of your pain, the work is being done. The pieces are being gathered. The foundation is being laid. And one day, sooner than you think, you will rise. You will look around and realize that the ruins are no longer your home. You will step forward and see that you have been made new. And when you do, when you stand on the other side of your sorrow, do not forget what it took to get there. Do not forget the fire that shaped you. Do not forget the hands that rebuilt you. And do not forget to turn back and offer your hand to someone else. Because you are not only meant to rise, you are meant to lift others with you. There is something about pain that makes you believe it is eternal. When you are in it, when you are drowning beneath the weight of sorrow, it feels like it will never end. The days stretch long, the nights press in heavy, and every breath feels like a battle you are too exhausted to fight. You convince yourself that this is all there is, all there will ever be, that the light you once knew has been swallowed whole, never to return. You stop looking for dawn. You stop hoping for relief. You sit in the wreckage and accept it as your home. But hear me when I say, this is not your home. This is not where you belong. Because if you could see beyond this moment, if you could look just a little further, you would see what I see. You would see that the pain you feel now is not a tomb. It is the womb of something new. You would see that even in the depths of despair, even in the silence of suffering, there is a rebuilding taking place. You cannot see it, but that does not mean it is not happening. Because just like the roots of a tree grow beneath the earth before the branches ever touch the sky, so too does your healing begin long before you feel it. Just because you cannot feel the change does not mean the change is not coming, but you must allow it. You must stop holding on to the pieces that no longer fit. You must stop clinging to what has already crumbled. There is a fear in letting go, I know. A fear that if you release what little you have left, you will be left with nothing. But what if I told you that your hands must be empty to receive something greater? What if I told you that by clinging to the ruins, you are keeping yourself from the masterpiece that is waiting to be built? There will be a moment, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day when you will wake up and the weight you have been carrying will feel a little lighter. It will not be gone all at once. No, healing is not sudden. It is not the sharp snap of a broken thing being made whole in an instant. It is slow. It is quiet. It is a gentle unfolding, a breath at a time, a step after another. But one day you will feel it. The lightness, the relief, the shift, and you will realize that without even knowing when it happened, you have begun to rise. And when that moment comes, do not be afraid of it. Do not question whether you deserve to heal. Do not let guilt or shame keep you bound to your past. Too often, we convince ourselves that because we have suffered for so long, we must continue suffering. We wear our pain like a duty, believing that if we let it go, we are betraying what we have lost. But suffering is not loyalty. Carrying your sorrow like a badge does not honor what was broken. Healing does. Rising does. Becoming whole again is not a betrayal of your past. It is the fulfillment of your future. And I know what you are thinking, that it is easier said than done. That I do not know the depth of your pain, the magnitude of your breaking. You are right. I do not know the specifics of your sorrow, but I do know sorrow. I know the way it wraps itself around you, the way it makes a home in your bones, the way it convinces you that joy is a language you no longer understand. I know the exhaustion, the ache, the way you go to bed hoping that tomorrow will be different, only to wake up and find that the pain is still there, still waiting, still whispering its cruel lies. But I also know something else. I know that sorrow is not the end of the story. I know that pain, no matter how deep, no matter how consuming, is not eternal. It passes, it shifts, it changes. And if you let it, it will transform you in ways you never imagined. There is something waiting for you on the other side of this pain. Something beautiful, something necessary. There is a version of you that exists beyond this suffering, a version of you that is stronger, wiser, softer in the right ways, fiercer in others, a version of you that has walked through the fire and come out not burned, but refined. And that version of you, that version is worth fighting for. That version is worth every tear, every difficult step, every painful release. That version of you is waiting, but you must be willing to reach for it. You must be willing to say, I will not let this breaking be the end of me. I will not live my life in the ruins when I was meant to be rebuilt. And make no mistake, you were meant to be rebuilt. You were not created to remain broken. You were not designed to live in despair. There is a greater plan for you, a greater purpose. And though you may not see it now, though you may not feel it in this moment, it is unfolding even as you sit here listening. Even now, the foundation of your rebuilding is being laid. Even now, the pieces are being shaped. Even now, the brokenness is being transformed into something unbreakable. And do not let anyone tell you that healing means forgetting. Do not let anyone tell you that to move forward, you must erase where you have been. That is not how this works. You will remember. You will carry the lessons. You will bear the marks of what you have been through, but they will not be wounds anymore. They will be reminders, reminders of what you survived, reminders of the strength you never knew you had, reminders that you were once broken, yes, but that you did not stay that way. And when you rise, because you will rise, you will look back at the pain that once threatened to destroy you, and you will realize that it was never meant to break you. It was meant to shape you. It was meant to refine you. It was meant to strip away everything that was not meant for you so that you could become exactly who you were created to be. But the choice is yours. You can sit in the ruins. You can hold on to the sorrow. You can convince yourself that this is all there is. Or you can stand. You can trust that there is more waiting for you. You can believe that your breaking was not the end, but the beginning. And if you are not ready to stand yet, that is okay too. There is no shame in resting. There is no shame in taking your time. But know this, whenever you are ready, whenever you take that first trembling step toward rebuilding, you will not be alone. There will be hands reaching for you, lifting you, guiding you. There will be a force greater than your pain, stronger than your suffering, carrying you forward. And when you finally step into the light, when you finally rise from the ashes, you will understand. You will understand why you had to break. You will understand why the pain was necessary, and you will know without a doubt that you were always meant to be rebuilt. There will be days when the past calls your name. It will whisper to you in the quiet moments, in the spaces between your laughter, in the pauses between your steps. It will remind you of what was, of what you lost, of who you used to be before the breaking. And if you are not careful, you may find yourself turning toward it, reaching for it, longing for the familiarity of even your pain, because at least it was something you knew beyond. But hear me, do not go back to what broke you. Do not return to the ruins you were pulled from. What has been rebuilt cannot fit inside the old walls. You cannot shrink yourself to fit into places you have outgrown. The hardest part of healing is not the pain itself, but the release. Letting go of what was, letting go of the version of yourself that did not survive the breaking, letting go of the idea that you could ever return to the way things used to be. But listen, you are not meant to return. You are meant to move forward. The hands that rebuilt you did not do so for you to turn back. They did not mend your wounds just for you to reopen them. They did not strengthen you just for you to walk back into the same fire that once consumed you. You must understand, rebuilding does not mean returning to what once was. It means stepping into what will be. It means trusting that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. And oh, I know how terrifying that is. I know how tempting it is to believe that maybe the pain you knew is better than the uncertainty of what's to come. But that is a lie. That is fear speaking, not truth. Fear will try to convince you that your healing is not real. It will tell you that you are only one step away from falling apart again. But fear is a thief. It will steal your joy. It will steal your hope. It will chain you to a past that no longer serves you. Do not listen to it. Do not let it win, because there is strength in you that you do not yet know. There is power in you that has not yet been tapped into. The very fact that you are still here, breathing, standing, trying, that is proof enough that you were built to endure, that you were created for more than just surviving, that you are meant to thrive, to walk in wholeness, to step fully into the life that is waiting for you beyond the pain. And do not think for a second that your healing must look like anyone else's. Do not compare your journey to theirs. Some will heal quickly, some will take years, and some will heal in ways that do not look like healing at all. But hear me, every single step forward is enough. Every single breath taken is a victory. Every single moment where you choose to believe, even just for a second, that something good can still come from your story, that is rebuilding, that is rising, that is proof that the breaking did not destroy you. But there will be days when you feel like you are moving backward, days when the weight returns to your chest, when the shadows stretch long again, when the sorrow you thought you had conquered comes knocking at your door. Do not be discouraged. Healing is not linear. It is not a straight path from broken to whole. It is a winding road, full of turns and stops and moments where you wonder if you have made any progress at all. But you have, you have. Even when it does not feel like it, even when you cannot see it, you have. Because rebuilding is not about never feeling pain again. It is about learning that pain no longer has the power to define you. It is about knowing that when sorrow comes, you will not drown in it. That when the storms rage, you will not be swept away. That when the darkness presses in, you carry within you a light that cannot be extinguished. And you must know this. You are not rebuilt just for yourself. Your healing is not just for you. There's someone out there who needs your story. Someone who is sitting in the same darkness you once sat in. Someone who is breaking in the same way you once broke. Someone who is looking at their life's wreckage and wondering if they will ever stand again. And when they see you, when they hear you, when they witness the way you have risen, they will believe that they can rise too. So do not hide your healing. Do not downplay the miracle of your rising. Do not be ashamed of the scars that tell the story of what you have overcome. Walk boldly in your newness. Walk boldly in your strength. Walk boldly in the knowledge that you have been rebuilt by hands that know your worth, by hands that saw your pain and did not turn away, by hands that took the brokenness and formed something unshakable from it. And if you find yourself breaking again, because life is like that, because sometimes we must be unmade more than once, do not despair. Do not believe that this time the rebuilding will not come. It will. It always does. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times the world tries to break you, the hands that remade you once will do it again and again and again. And you have walked through fire and yet you stand. You have been broken, yet you rise. The journey of rebuilding is not one of returning to what was, but of stepping into what is meant to be. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are the proof that destruction is not the end, that sorrow does not have the final say. Healing is not forgetting, it is transforming. It is knowing that every scar tells a story of survival, of endurance, of grace. You were not left in the ruins, you were lifted from them. And now, as you walk forward, carry this truth. You are whole, you are strong, you are new. No matter how many times life tries to break you, you will always be rebuilt. Because you were never meant to stay broken, you were always meant to rise.